Hi, folks. I am Tina Cannon, President and CEO of the Austin LGBT Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for watching either today's live presentation or watching the recording later on your own time. We have a full bank of knowledge and information on our website and on our media page that covers a range of topics that we've covered over the last 15 months. The Austin LGBT Chamber covered 96 events online last year alone. We are on tap to do over 70 for this year. So we are very excited about providing the knowledge to you. And the nice thing about, or the upside, if you will, about the times in which we live is that you can consume this information whenever you need to on our website. A little bit about the chamber. We started in 1997. We are the oldest and largest LGBT chamber in the state of Texas. We have sister chambers across the state, which we collaborate with regularly. There is a chamber in North Texas, Houston, and San Antonio that we work regularly with through our Texas LGBT Chamber Alliance. We are very busy at the moment. That organization or that collective, our main goal is around advocacy, and the state keeps us very busy during session. There are over 30 anti-LGBT bills that have already been filed. Some are making some pretty significant traction. And you can always learn more about the advocacy efforts of both the statewide organization and your local chamber by joining our advocacy committee. There are a number of ways that you can engage and be involved as a chamber member, either as an individual or as a business. Obviously, there is the Business Academy, which we do kind of the Business 101 type trainings. There's also our Health and Wellness Committee, which is one of our largest committees, designed for the healthcare provider and healthcare industry. And then Young Professionals with Pride. That's for those who are young and young at heart. So you won't see my face there. But it's a great group. They do a lot. That's more of the kind of the personal, professional development. What else do we have? Our employee resource group. So if you are with a mid-size or a large company that either has an ERG or wants to set up an ERG, an employee resource group, we provide the tools to help you get your company's ERG up and off the ground, or hopefully in a better place than it was when you joined. Who am I missing? ERGs, Business Academy, Health and Wellness, Young Professionals with Pride. Supplier diversity. Our supplier diversity committee does work to connect LGBT-owned businesses to mid and large-sized corporations who are looking to procure either services or products. And so it's a great opportunity to really elevate your company. If you are an LGBT-owned company and you're a member of the chamber, you can get certified for free. It is part of your membership. There's a couple of steps to go through, and you get yourself certified, and that way you can register as a supplier diversity hub for most major employers in the state of Texas, and we are working diligently to get that also recognized at the local level. So your chamber is always working for you. We're always working to make sure that you have a safe landing place wherever you choose to work, and that your company is ready to absorb the best possible talent. We could not do all the things that we do without all of our underwriters and sponsors. So a special thank you to AT&T and Dell for being our top sponsors. So when you are looking to shop, when you're looking to put your money to use, put it to where folks put their pride in money as well. So Austin FC, Apple, Facebook, Elizabeth Christian, PIMCO, and the list goes on. You can find the full list of all of our corporate sponsors on our website. So again, make sure that your queer dollars matter when you spend them in the community. Today we have a discussion on the sexiest topic in the world: accounting, finance, and taxes. As a recovering accountant myself, I have a real adoration for this field. I also realized that I was really not good at it and got out of it pretty quickly, because it takes a special person to do taxes and to live and breathe during tax season. So we brought with us today chamber member Ellen Shafer. She is a longtime CPA with over 25 years of accounting and tax and bookkeeping knowledge. She is kind of the oracle and the encyclopedia of all things taxes. She specializes in bookkeeping, accounting, and tax services for small businesses in both Austin and Bastrop. So what we'll do today is, before Ellen gets going, I just want to do kind of a quick round robin of who's here, just so that you can say hello, how are you, who you are, who you're with, and then we'll get started with more of kind of just a more intimate Q&A with Ellen. So let me pass the torch to whoever's first on my screen here. Rachel, you're first on my screen. You want to just do a hello, my name is, and who's an ideal candidate for you, and when you're going to deliver that favorite chair of mine behind you to my house.
Sure. My name is Rachel. I have a full-time job, but I'm also opening my own business over on the East Side, hopefully in the next like 3 to 4 months with a business partner. And we're a gender inclusive late night nail salon that's very focused on being eco-friendly, water-free, all of those things. So I think just for us figuring out one, how to kind of like really get started in a healthy way with taxes and sort of how we set that up. And, just coming out of COVID and being under construction for a year, we're going into hiring. We're about to start like actually doing sort of our, first rounds of employment documentation and all of that. So I'm really just kind of here for like a 101 for whatever organically comes up.
That's great. I'm excited about the late night. I'm assuming that comes with cocktails.
It does, yes.
Score. Tallulah, you're going to be up next if you're on the call with us. And if not, if you're on mute or if you're on another one, I understand. Oh, there you are.
Oh, I'm here. I was just responding to an email. Could you tell me again what you wanted?
Just kind of a hello, how are you, who you are, who you represent, what you kind of want, questions you might have, or what you want to get out of the session.
Sure. Sorry about being distracted. I am Tallulah Breslin. I am a speech language pathologist and voice coach in Austin, Texas. I do all sorts of speech therapy, but primarily I do gender voice modification where people want to change the gender presentation of their voice. People are transitioning from one gender or are non-binary and want to sound a different way.
Love it. Love it. Miss Valerie Salinas Davis.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. Valerie Salinas Davis, and your board chair this year. Been on the board a couple of years. When I'm not working on this with Tina, who is a fabulous, you look like a radio host podcast, so she's doing great. Looking forward to learning more. I've longtime business person in Austin. Right now, I am teaching at the University of Texas, and I have to say, Rachel, I love the environmental features of your new business. That's been my history is communicating about the environment. I'm teaching in the UT Ad School, Environmental Communications, and just started a new nonprofit organization called Waste Less Wednesday. So I want to stay abreast of what you're doing, Rachel, with the business. What's it called?
It's called Cure Studios.
Cool.
So, and yeah, I love hearing that. That's awesome. We should definitely connect. We're doing no water, as many disposable or compostable products as we can. No foam flip-flops. It's a very wasteful industry. So,
wow. Yeah, I'd love to learn more.
Cool.
Excited. And AJ.
Hello, everybody. My name is AJ Gossetus. I am a new member to the Austin LGBT Chamber. I'm the committee administrator for the chamber, and I am very excited to be on this call and I'm getting more informed on taxes, considering it is tax season, and I'm also not really good at this. So I am here for that 101 as well.
Great. Well, Val, I don't know if you've noticed, but most radio announcers and TV show hosts don't have cats in their background. But being, who we are, that's the world we live in now. There you go. So there's a little backside entertainment going on for you. So Ellen, talk to us. You have been in practice for probably, 25, 30 years.
Well, to tell you the exact truth, I started out in public accounting and did 10 years in public accounting. Then I went off and became an internal auditor, which is why my email address is ellen.internal.auditor@gmail. I worked in internal auditing for many years in big companies and mostly in the insurance industry. And I always did taxes on the side. I always had a tax season in my life. But then when I moved to Texas, I decided that number one, I didn't want anybody to lay me off or tell me I had to retire. so I opened my practice. I worked with other people for a while and got my skills really set, and opened my practice and start. This was around 2012 because I moved down here then. And so I started my practice and worked on it and built it up. And now I have over 200 clients.
Incredible. That's the big thing, is not only finding a good CPA, but finding a CPA that has time. Some
Yeah.
of ours, even in our member directory, you really need to reach out and find out if they're accepting new clients. It's almost like a physician these days.
I know it's very interesting because I have a lot of clients who come to me and say, "Well, nobody else but you got back to me."
Hmm. Yeah, and it's important to have a relationship. So we'll get into that. But what's the most important piece of tax information that is happening right now is that the federal government has extended the tax filing deadline. Tell us a little bit about the deadlines and what people need to know.
Okay, well, normally the tax filing deadlines are for businesses are March 15th, and for people and corporations is April 15th. And this year, the IRS extended both just for Texas, mind you now, because of the winter storm. And they extended the deadline to June 15th for both all businesses and all individuals.
Good to know, because I know we're behind getting our taxes. So that's much appreciated for me on a personal level and through the chamber as well. We started out talking about the relationship of accountants and your client, right? Because I know as an ex-accountant and an ex-CPA a million years ago, I would cringe when people would say, well, just do it in TurboTax, right? So like, it's like saying to a lawyer, well, I'll just do it in LegalZoom and call it done. TurboTax is great if you're just one person, not doing anything, nothing exciting, cut and dry.
Yeah.
But if you're running a business, how important is the relationship before tax season with your accountant, so that you're not coming into it at the last minute going, here's all my boxes of receipts? What is that? Should there be a longer relationship that you have with an accountant so that they can
Well,
help you set your business right?
I like to have a long relationship with my clients. I like to have them come back year after year. And some of them do and some of them don't. That's the individuals. The businesses tend to stay because they need a constant supply of information.
And that's what it is too. It's that constant supply. I know with us, we use, as a chamber, we use chamber member Carly. We use Biddle Books and Taxes as our chamber accountant. And that relationship that we have with her and her team is a monthly relationship. So if we do something or we're thinking about doing something, we give our accountants a call, right? It's about that one-on-one relationship so that they can say to us, that's great, but you should consider doing it this way, or this would set you up better at the end of the year. And so what are those relationships? How does somebody have those early discussions to kind of interview a bookkeeper, if you will, or interview an accountant?
Well, I do Zoom meetings with people and talk to them and get their information, and we'll work with them through Zoom. There's not a lot of preparation necessary for getting going with something like that. There's it's just a matter of talking things through. But anyway, what I wanted to say before was that on the extension side, you can get an extension until September or October.
Wow.
If you want to file for it. And it's an automatic thing. It's no big deal.
And people don't realize that you have to file for the extension, right? You just can't say, right? So that's important for folks to know too. You can't just say, well, I'm just going to wait for the extension. You actually have to physically file for that. And there's a little process that goes with that, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
There's some estimating that has to go with that.
Well, yeah, there's some to do. I mean, you can file and say, well, I'm not going to owe any taxes. But if you are smart, you have a CPA figure out about how much you're going to owe, if you're going to owe anything, and pay that with the extension. So
Is that paying that with the extension? Is the rationale for that? Is it that it saves you on interest rates, or on fees and interest?
And also penalties, because there are penalties for late payment.
And if you were to overestimate, it's fine because you just get that back.
Right.
Okay.
And it goes on from there. Most people do file an extension because a CPA can only do just so much at once. And to get everybody filed, you need to put people on extension. And I'm usually busy the entire year, all the way up through October. And I'm even usually working in November and December because people tend to not file. I mean, you wouldn't believe the number of people who just simply do not file their taxes and then wake up a year later and say, oh my God, I never filed my 19 taxes. Let's get a CPA and file my 19 and 20 taxes.
This is why I'm not in that profession anymore. This year has some unique tax considerations, unlike any other, in the sense that we've had supplemental assistance from the government. Many folks have had, either through their business, a PPP or idle funds, or the personal, what's it called? Is it the CARES Act, the Recovery Act, that have accepted funds from the government. So it's a more unique situation this time around. How are businesses, or what should they be prepared for on reporting for their PPP and idle loans?
Well, that is, they don't really have to report those. They need to get them, what they're doing is they're trying to get them expunged, and they apply for that by sending in information about what they've spent the funds for. There's no tax effect except that if they get reimbursed for those, if they get have paid out the money on certain acceptable things, those things are not tax deductible.
Okay. So Rachel has been taking diligent notes, and I know as a new business owner, I wanted to open up to anybody who had questions as well.
I have an initial question about the just sort of that like CPA relationship. And so my business partner and I, we have been looking for a CPA for the business that we want to have a longstanding relationship with. They are all slammed, so we're still sort of actively searching. But I'm curious how many clients you have where you do the business taxes and also the personal taxes, because ideally, just to keep things super clean, since I do have a partner, we would kind of have like a one-stop shop, and we would handle our personal taxes as well as our businesses in one spot. Is that fairly common, or is that kind of a, okay?
It's fairly common. In fact, I really prefer to do the personal taxes for businesses, because it's so much easier if you do it all.
Yeah,
it's one big project. There are, from partnerships and sub-S corps, there are K1s that need to be transferred into the personal return.
mm-hmm.
And I can do that electronically if I have both returns on my plate.
Okay.
Actually, I'm taking new clients.
Oh, are you? Okay.
I'd be happy to help you.
Yeah, we should definitely talk. We've been on the search for a while, and I think for the size of where we're at right now, we don't need one of the super big firms, but we want something that we can maintain and have a long-term relationship with to stay super organized. So
yeah, no, understand that.
It's super important for planning. I know I have a side business that we're starting in short-term rentals outside of the city of Austin, and Even before we started to establish the business, I called my accountant and said, this is what we're thinking about doing. Here's how the funding, how it's coming in. Here's how we're going to handle it. You tell me if we're doing it the right way and how else we should set up. And she had some great tips and advice for us to consider. Of course, you know, you make the final decision how you want it to go. But those relationships up front are super important. It will help you from having to go back and redo something that maybe you should have done a different way. Mm-hmm. To make sure that you're taking full advantage of the tax considerations.
Well, one thing that I almost always recommend people do is if they're profitable, once they're profitable, that they elect to become a sub-S corp, because that's something that anyone, any business, a sole proprietorship, a partnership, any business that's organized as an LLC can file a election to become to be taxed as a sub-S corp. And what it does is it avoids a certain amount of tax, because the sub-S corp, you pay yourself through a payroll and pay your payroll taxes through the payroll. And then your profit is not subject to self-employment tax, which other partners and other individual sole proprietors have to pay tax, self-employment tax on their entire profit. And it's something that is available to people and it's worth doing. But you have to make sure that you have a regular payroll.
And aside from the tax piece of it, I would also advise that you have a conversation with an attorney to make sure that your entity is set up the right way, and that you have limited the liability coming to you as an individual. So that I always used to joke with my entrepreneurs that you're not a real entrepreneur, you're not a real business until you're important enough for somebody to give a hoot that they sue you. So at some point in your career, you know, you will probably find some sort of lawsuit, whether it be a trip and fall or whatever it is, that you need to make sure that you are insulated as a person and your personal property and your personal wealth is insulated. So make sure you also have a conversation with a good attorney as you're setting up your entity, and then connect with your accountant to find out what type of entity is beneficial for you. We have a couple of great attorneys through the chamber. Our chamber general counsel is the Fowler Law Firm, and there's about a half dozen other lawyers on our website that can help folks decide what type of legal entity they want to set up.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
And I want to make sure that if you have any questions that we have a chance to ask as well. But I understand people multitask. I get it.
I don't have any specific tax questions. I think I was just here to listen what information people were sharing. I have right now, it's just me. I'm set up as an LLC, and then I have one employee and office manager, and am getting ready to do my taxes for the year.
I have another one if I can pop in again. I would love to just know a little bit more general information around quarterly taxes and how that works. So I think businesses, I don't know if you're required to, but I think it's preferable that you file quarterly. Is that correct?
Well, you don't file exactly, you pay. What you do with quarterly taxes, and they're not exactly quarterly, the payments are due April 15th, June 15th, September 15th, and January 15th. And in that order. And you have an accountant take your books, your quarterly P&Ls as you go, and calculate the amount of tax that there will be on those quarterly profits and come up with a number for you to pay. There are payment vouchers that are easily available, and your accountant can fill those out, or you can fill those out. with your address and your EIN and all of that. And you take that voucher and your check and you mail it into the IRS, or you can pay online through the IRS website, irs.gov, to pay. But it's people get confused. In fact, I had a client the other day say, "Oh, well, my fourth quarterly payment isn't due until April 15th. Maybe I should pay it early." And I said, "No, no, no, no. It's March and your payment was due January 15th. So you better get it paid now."
Aside from just the standard federal income tax, even though Texas doesn't have an income tax, Texas does have other taxes to consider for businesses depending on the type of business they are. So, for example, a franchise tax is a special Texas thing, as well as sales and use collection. What do you do with that? How do you escrow the money? And then liquor tax if you do liquor sales. So there are other tax considerations besides just federal for a business to
Yes.
keep in mind.
Yes, there are. And sales tax is due every month usually. And I regularly do the sales tax for some of my clients. And sometimes if you're in QuickBooks, you can set it up so that QuickBooks does it for you. If you're not in QuickBooks entirely or wholly, you have to go online to the the comptroller's website and pay and file a report and pay your sales tax. And it's pretty simple. I mean, it's not a big deal, but it's usually monthly that you pay that, not quarterly.
It's where I've seen over the years businesses get into little sticky situations where they haven't separated out their sales tax and they haven't made their payments on time, and they kind of are borrowing from themselves and hoping for the best. And that's a fast way to go down as a business operator, by getting into arrears on your sales tax payments.
Yes, yes it is. Yes it is.
So accounting systems, not to get too wonky, but there are cash basis and accrual basis. And so it's a conversation that you'll probably have with your accountant. What are some of the highlights of cash and accrual, and why would a business want to use either or both?
Well, cash and accrual. Cash, you're only recognizing the cash that came in, instead of if you have customers that you have on accounts receivable, you're going to pay tax on the amounts that have been billed rather than the amounts that have been paid. So you can delay paying tax on those types of things by going with cash basis. However, if your payments are kind of wonky, and I have a client who's like this, where he gets paid huge sums of money all at once, it's better to be on accrual basis, because then it's a more gradual recognition. So that's kind of the balance.
And then if you're out seeking a loan, the accrual basis may be better, right? Because if you do have a large set of receivables, the bank considers that an asset to be able to loan against.
Yes, absolutely.
Good, good. We're about the 30-minute mark, so I just want to check everybody's time and see if you had any other questions, or if Ellen, if you had another piece of wisdom that you could pass on to this group. And I'll share. AJ, can you share her contact information in the chat?
Yes, I'll go ahead and put it right now.
Thanks.
Well, I don't know how much wisdom I have. I am an old lady, but I know I do a lot of unwise things in my personal life anyway. Wisdom sub S is one of my big deals. Just paying your taxes on time is is such a really big issue because people who get behind on their taxes, the penalties are just huge for late payment and late filing, and thousands of dollars. And I have a client who hasn't filed her taxes since 13, and she got called on 13. They caught her up on 13, and she filed 13. And I think the penalties were something like she owed like $26,000, and I think the penalties were about 7 or 8 of that.
Oh.
And there is something that is kind of useful though in situations like that. There's something called the one-time abatement of penalties and interest, which you can only use once. And actually you can use, they say you can only use it once, but in actual practice, you can use it once every 3 years. Because what they do is they look back 3 years, and if you've had any other penalties, you can't use it. But if you haven't had any other penalties or used that one-time abatement, you can get those penalties abated for you. So that's what she did, and she got out of her penalties. But
for that 1 year.
For that,
but now they could sniff around for all the other years.
Well, they're only right now. They're only looking at 17, 18, and 19. Those are the 3 years that they're focused on now. So they may skip the other ones. I don't know. We'll see. The IRS is very arcane.
Agreed. Well, I thank you for your wisdom. I thank you for your time. And for those who were able to attend, thank you for your questions. Ellen's information was dropped into the chat, so if you wanted to follow up with her, you can. I also encourage you to visit our LGBT Chamber website and click on Member Directory at the top, and you can see a list of whatever you need to see, whether it be a lawyer, a florist, or an accountant, or a realtor, whatever you need. They're on there. There are a couple hundred members, so please make sure that you support those who support the LGBT Chamber. So with that, I want to let you recover some of your time today and get back to running your businesses. So Ellen, thank you so very much. Rachel, thanks for joining us. Thanks to Lula and Val. We'll see you guys all next time.
Thank you, Ellen. Appreciate hearing your experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you.